something that is not ordinary. In a democracy, you expect all officials that will participate in the process to be elected, except those who are appointed after the designated officials are elected. You understand me? For instance, the president appoints ministers and all that who are not elected. The governor appoints commissioners who are not elected. But that authority derives from elected representatives. So, what is going on when you have a state of emergency? The state is an abnormal situation. It's an emergency situation. It doesn't mean that in an emergency situation, law is silent. Because even the administrator who is appointed to come and preside over that emergency situation in the case of Rivers Dam has a duty to deliver on law and order. And if you look at it from that perspective, delivering on law and order also includes ensuring that where appropriate, elections are to be conducted. Yeah, it should be conducted. You understand me? Because as my own interpretation, I want to just keep silent because I don't want to comment on the suit that is in court now presently, because it's not judice, so we don't want to comment on that. But to say that because a state of emergency is declared, then the law is silent. It's not. It doesn't make sense. Even in a state of war, under international law is never silent. There are rules regulating even the conduct of war. You understand me? When there's conduct of war and, for instance, you are not supposed to bomb civilian targets during a state of war. You are also supposed to recognize the rights of women and those who are vulnerable. You are not supposed to also deploy, military arsenal to destroy certain specific targets during the war. There are laws of war. So even when law is raging, the law is not silent. Law is always active. Law is always active, whether we're in a state of peace or in a state of war.
Just to build on that,
yes.
Are we allowing political apprehension to get us into a conundrum that we're now trying to run? We don't even know where we're racing to, because literally everything from the beginning, the challenge of the president's powers, ultra vires, as alleged, now a case before the Supreme Court, which I know you will not like to speak to, because the last time we went to the Supreme Court, their justices looked for a way to, it wasn't adjudicated on, because the man who brought in the case, Joshua Daria, he doesn't have the local standard because he was already suspended. And then appointment of a sole administrator, and then him appointing several other persons. But there's a future landmine here, that even if you look at the local government law in Rivers State, and I'm sure in every other state, the chairmen are being sworn in by the governor at the council chambers. So what are we doing? What are we really getting at? Because at the end of the day, is this sole administrator that will swear in the elected chairman that will be elected today. And that in itself is a constitutional issue.
Thank you. Who is a governor? Who is a sole administrator? A governor presides over the affairs of the state. And that role, that function is being exercised by the sole administrator. Remember that the Rivers State as it is now is a peculiarity. You understand me? The Constitution makes provisions for its declaration of a state of emergency under Section 305. I didn't make that provision. You didn't make it. The draftsman made it there. So it's not that the sole administrator suddenly emerged or a state of emergency is suddenly declared outside the Constitution.
No, the Constitution provides for state of emergency.
Yes.
The Constitution did not provide for a sole administrator.
When you say a state of emergency, you are saying that there will be the exercise of extraordinary powers. The word extraordinary powers is so very extensive. The president has the power to declare a state of emergency anywhere.
Correct.
And then if he declares a state, then that means extraordinary powers can be exercised. Yeah? And that extraordinary powers, he can determine whether the government continues to be there.
That's the subject of argument.
Yes, I mean, he can also decide how those extraordinary, measures can take place to deliver on peace and security. Let me tell you, in a state of emergency, the primary concern is to deliver on law and order. You understand me? And there's a precedent for what the president has done. It's not the first time. There was a time a state of emergency was declared in Plateau State. And a sole administrator was appointed by former President Obasanjo. This is not the first time this is taking place. It's the prerogative of the president to determine
Senior Advocate, I know we don't want to go into the issue that is before the Supreme Court, because we're even worried that the Supreme Court is not adjudicating on such sensitive issues.
Because you not adjudicate on if you are not properly before the court.
No, the reason is because the last time that case went to court, that actually went to court, and there was an issue of local standards. The man who instituted the suit, which is why the PDP governors now said, okay, let's go. Let's determine this thing once and for all. The issue of discretional latitude of a president in the situation of a state of emergency to remove elected officials. You can do every other thing. The elected official is the bone of contention. The argument as to the fact that, the dramatic personnel involved are supposed to be the ones to call for is back and forth. And what I was just asking you was, there is no provision for a sole administrator in the Constitution of the Federal Republic as it is.
Yes. There's no such a specific express provision. But you know that the provision can be expressly given. It can also be impliedly given. It can also be.
It goes to what you said.
It can also be circumstantially given.
It goes to what you said the other time that this whole thing of interpretation will come there.
Yes.
But let me ask Mr. Lawal. So this is where we are now, and it's like you've already looked into the crystal ball of Jeffrey, who says that as far as he can determine certain things as far as this election is concerned. I'm not going to ask him because he's not my guest. This.
I said local government elections.
But from where you stand, where you sit, and from what you know about our country, Mr. Lawal, what are we to expect today? We asked the research chairman about the level of preparedness, and there are several places that people have materials have gone out and all of those things, how far and wide materials ought to have gone, and he gave us the assurance that by now elections ought to have started. What are your expectations today in terms of security, in terms of the logistics, in terms of the turnout? You gave us an idea earlier, but what are your expectations, and what are the things that you think we should guard against?
Thank you very much. I'd like to first correct something the man in the studio said. I said the Electoral Act is silent on LG elections. I don't like being misconstrued. A total case on something that does not even exist. And he's saying with one voice that the extraordinary powers, and they're saying with one voice it can conduct LG elections. For me, that's double standard. The National Assembly cannot control the budget of a state. If it does, at that point, democratic structures in that state are suspended. And we know that. But, let's dilly-dally to the gallery as we wish. Back to the question you just asked. Logistically, I do not think, and I've seen this over LG elections, I've seen quite a lot of logistical issues when it comes to state electoral commissions. I don't know whether it's the amount of money put out for the elections, or it is the general administration of state electoral councils, which normally, ends up with right, materials not reaching the right place. In the case of Lagos, Kaduna, materials, polling units reduced by the state so that, so they could just attend to selective ones and nobody knows till the day of the elections. We've seen, we would see such issues with parties. Sometimes maybe 6 parties are available for these councillorship elections. Only 3 parties will be printed. And they'll blame an administrative or clerical error, and nothing is ever done or looked into. I expect this kind of quagmires that would happen in the local government elections. I also, like I said, I'm hoping it will be different this time, but Rivers usually has one of the most volatile local government elections in Nigeria. I'm hoping that this will be very different in this conversation. What do I see presently as regards to what's going on? For me, I don't expect, and if I'm to score the election from what I think it would probably happen, I'll score the election about 30%. Number one, it's not even constituted by democratically elected. That's the first anomaly in the whole situation. And you can dilly-dally around it and speak about the Supreme Court as much as you want, but this is a democracy. For those born under military rule, I know it's kind of hard for them to understand this conversation, but who have spent most of their life in military rule, it's hard for them to understand this conversation. But for me, the LG elections in Rivers is a total anomaly with the presence of the fact that an unelected government is in charge of that particular election.
Okay, just a thing or two you said, but I just want to be clear when you say that the Electoral Act is silent on local government elections. Is that what you said, or I don't want
yes. When I mean silent on local government elections under an emergency rule, it is silent. That's what I said.
Okay. I don't even think there is any law in the country that provides for any election under any emergency rule, even at the federal level.
Is there Dr. Shitu is here, is a lawyer.
Well, that's why I'm asking him.
And maybe you'll respond to some of the things I was saying.
Well, I don't want to join issues with the eminent guest who has just commented, because imbued in the democratic process is the right of dissent. You can agree and disagree. What is not permissible is to be disagreeable. So he has expressed I don't know. He has expressed his opinion. He's entitled to it. But I'm speaking from the perspective of being a lawyer. I've looked at the entire provisions of Section 305. There's nowhere they say all democratic structures suspended. Do you know that the court itself is a democratic structure? Our judges don't sit even under a democracy, an emergency rule. There's a state high court that has just pronounced, made the order that the election should hold. That's a democratic structure. The court is a democratic structure. The police is a democratic structure. There are even security agencies. They are democratic structures. There's no way you can suspend. What is taking place? Okay, what is suspended is is the State House of Assembly. I think that does not even suspend the existence of law. The National Assembly can legislate for Rivers State under an emergency rule. You understand me? Which means law is still alive. So it's not. I think what we should be, the advocacy should be that some of the gaps that we have noticed here can be redressed through a process of constitutional amendment. People are saying that we need a brand new constitution to be able to look at some of these gray areas and make specific provisions for them in order to forestall future ambiguities. Okay. You understand me? But in the absence of that, we should make do with what we have. That is when there are gray areas, where there are gaps in constitutional provision, approach the court for interpretation. The wise men who sit as judges will be able to look at. You recall that there was a time, even former President Jonathan, there was a statement as to whether he's entitled to be sworn in as the president of the country following the death of former President Musa Yar'Adua. That matter was taken before the Supreme Court, and that gave rise to the doctrine of necessity. And by virtue of that doctrine, he was ordered to be sworn in. That is why we must begin to effectively utilize the genius services of the Judas. When people are appointed as judges, they are supposed to play a unique role in stabilizing the process and then clearing areas of ambiguity so that the law will, normal course of events will move on. You cannot afford to have a vacuum. What all these problems we are saying can be resolved by the court through firm pronouncement. Law, there's a school of thought which says law is nothing but the pronouncement of judges. That's the realist. They believe that you go to court as lawyer on this side or as lawyer on the other side, you make your arguments. It is what the judge pronounces upon that is the law. That's the realist postulate. Now the judge has said election must go on. That's the pronouncement of the High Court of Justice. That's the law. You understand me? So that's why we are thinking, if the judge says don't go ahead with that election, it means the election will not take place. But the judge said go ahead. So now we're having the election. And there are other issues that you have raised. Is that he adjoined those issues for determination. Until those issues are adjudicated by the court, the assumption is that...
let's say, at the end of the day, yes, maybe we would have avoided this if this election did not hold under an emergency situation. But now we're here, and the concern, which is what I want to bring to Mr. Kunle, is the issue of what precedents we're setting as far as electoral jurisprudence is concerned. You mentioned the Section 11 provides for legislation to be made at the National Assembly when the State Assembly can't.
Yes, yes.
But subsection 4 protects the governor and the deputy. You don't go near there. It's as clear in the law as that is. So let me come to you, Kunle, as far as this particular one is concerned. What precedent do you think we are setting here with what is going on in Rivers State? Because perhaps the honorable judge of the High Court in Rivers State was relying on Section 84, subsection 15, that clearly says that when an election is already in motion, you can't stop it by even any court's pronouncement.
So for me, if a country has to go to a court as regards matters of an election and there are problems with its laws, that's what I've always believed. The judicial interference in our elections, for me, is a little high for a democracy. It's a little too high, and it shows that our laws are not clear, they are ambiguous, and they are vague. There are conversations in which you would have and you say, the Nigerian democracy is supposed to stand on its own. We're supposed to have elections. We're not supposed to have elections decided by courts. That is wrong. That shows a fundamental break or bridge in the basic foundation of a constitutional democracy. But lawyers want to argue another way. You know, lawyers think they own the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It belongs actually to every Nigerian. But the conversation is, in my opinion, I do not consider the LG elections, and I'm saying this clearly in National TV, the LG elections in Rivers State right now under a sole administrator sets dangerous precedents for our young democracy. It sets the standard or the tone that an appointed person who serves on the behest of an elected president, who is not supposed to control matters in his state, which still have conflicting stories on the emergency rule position, but anyway, conduct an LG election. For me, it's totally not good for our democracy. It will bring up another argument. You see, preceding other emergency rules like we've had in Plateau and Adama, we clearly didn't say an LG elections happen, which is why we can fall back to that and say LG elections didn't happen under this. But now it's happening under this. It means 10 years from now, we'll be talking, it happened in Port Harcourt. So we can as well launch another emergency rule, conduct an LG elections, conduct a State House of Assembly elections, and even probably conduct a gubernatorial elections. For me, this precedence, in my opinion,
Mr. Lawal,
is not good for a democracy.
Well, Mr. Lawal, there's something Dr. Shitu said earlier, that all these issues are most certainly valid. The issues that we're raising right now, the concerns that have been expressed, and all of this, they are totally valid. But he has made a recommendation that maybe you should detail some of these conflicts, as if we can use that term, in the constitution amendment process, so that maybe we ensure that this doesn't happen again. Because essentially, I think the point being made here is we cannot say because of a particular situation that we have on our hands that democratic processes should be suspended. We have a sole administrator in the state. Should we also have sole administrators at the local government levels? Perhaps that's the challenge. If you were to recommend adjustments to the constitution or to our laws to forbid this kind of situation we have, because this one is already playing, we can't stop it, what would be your recommendations if any adjustments were to be made?
First, the first adjustment I would like to look into would be the powers of the president to suspend an elected state governor. That should not exist. They're both elected, they're both mandated by each virtue of elections by particular people in a particular territorial boundary. I don't believe the president should be. I agree the State's House of Assembly can impeach or suspend the governor, if that's the case may be. But I do not believe in federal interference in state matters. I feel that has underbuilt our states. Secondly, I do not think state electoral commissions, as constituted, can conduct elections into local government offices. They are by a little trumped by the fact that they are appointed by state governors. Secondly, we don't see any democracy. 97%, between 96 to 97% are being won by the incumbent party in all situations. I don't think that is democratic. I'm for the return of state elections back to INEC till we can manage our state electoral commissions properly. And then thirdly, I also believe, like I said, we need to sit on this autonomy as granted by the Constitution for local governments, which will probably make them more functional and will participate more when we realize no local government in Nigeria receives less than 250 million in fact allocation per month. But it's not a discussion that we want to have mostly. So I think we should provide the autonomous nature for local governments and more people participate in its elections.
All right. In a moment, we'll be switching gears to find out what exactly is going on the streets of Port Harcourt, as well as the 23 local government areas, as much as our cameras can catch. The elections are ongoing in Rivers State. In case you just joined us, this is Channel CV, and we are on ground in Rivers State to ensure that we'll bring you up to speed with the elections, local government elections today, August the 30th, in the 23 local government areas. We understand about 15 or so political parties, 17 political parties are participating in this exercise. So we'll be following up. The INEC chairman has spoken to us, sorry, the RESEC chairman, I should say. That's the resident, the chairman of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission has had a conversation with us in terms of his preparations and what he's doing. And we have Kunle Lawal of the Electoral College, and also Dr. Wahab, who is here, who is doing the heavy lifting of the law for us. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria, Leonard Silk. Dr. Shitu, so these pictures you're seeing now is enforcement to make sure that if you don't have any business as an electoral official, as a journalist, as a security personnel, or people that provide essential services in that sense, you don't have any business being on the road today in Rivers State. We understand there's been a curfew has been declared. So that means you're restricted to the area where you vote, your polling units. Anything outside that, you'll be breaching and breaking the law as far as elections are concerned. So this is the free street of Port Harcourt. I'm not sure where this is, but it's one of the streets where, just to show you, it's empty. People just carelessly watching.
Now, you know, one of the things that the chairman of the Electoral Commission said earlier is that as at 8:30, elections have begun in different parts of Rivers State. Well, this is one of those places. These are live pictures coming from one polling unit in Rivers State.
Yeah, I'm just praying. Dr. Shitu will come to you, but we're just looking at polling ballot boxes. I can see chairmanship, That's chairman and councillor of elections. So the one in red, if you're casting your vote, in case you're watching TV and you haven't set out to vote, so be clear, from what we're seeing, the one in red is for chairmanship, the one in green is for councillor. But this looks quite empty. I can see the police. Okay, not the police now. Yeah, so there's a policeman seated. Because even in an election, there's clarity as to the distance between the policeman and the polling units.
Absolutely.
So these are the things we look out for when you go to the field. So the electoral officers are there, the polling unit officers. And this is Obiakpor local government area in Rivers State. The officials?
Ward 13.
Ward 13.
So if you are nearby,
you can't see people here.
Yeah, I mean,
what's going on?
If you are nearby, call your neighbor, tell someone to tell someone to come out and vote. One of the assurances that has been given is that there is security provided for everyone.
There has to be
who comes.
Emergency.
Exactly. Well, yeah, that didn't stop protests when people were protesting.
And it was peaceful anyway, so
which is of course peaceful, yes. So it'll be important for us to get that perspective from people. And here we have Deborah again.
Yeah, we'll get to Deborah in just a moment as soon as she's ready for us. But I think our camera is spanning around the area in this Ward 13 in Obiakpor local government area of Rivers State. So we just shown you the ballot box, but this is just a street away, just across the ballot box where the officials are standing, where the officials are seated rather, and the police officer is already there to make sure that people who are interested in coming out to vote come out. But it's very disturbing and worrying. Obiakpor has a sick. In fact, if you go to governorship or presidential election, this Obiakpor is what you have to look out for in terms of election results.
So if you are going to win.
Yeah, this is it's critical for you. Obiakpor is a determining, in fact, I think it's one of the, among the richest local governments in Nigeria. Obiakpor should be among the top 5, if not second or third. That's how rich they are in numbers and everything. So, Deborah, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, fantastic. We've just been trying to interpret.
I can.
Fantastic, Deborah. Great. We've just been trying to interpret what we're seeing. We're seeing, I think somebody has just cast in a ballot. Walk us through what we're seeing, by the way. You're the one on ground.
Okay, this is Unit 15, Ward 13 in Obiakpor local government area. It might just be important to note that this is the Rumola area, which is like the center of the city. So you would expect voters to be around here a whole lot. They have a voting strength of 1,324 in this unit. And they've been voting according to the electoral officers here for the past 45, 50 minutes. And well, this is what has so far been casted. If you look at the ballot box, you see that counting here, I don't see more than 6 of it, of the slips, the voting slips. Even at the other ballot box, I don't see more than that as well. So if they've been voting for 50 minutes, I don't know what I would say that the turnout isn't encouraging, because at 50 minutes in a place that is in the metropolis, you would expect that the voting would be more, the turnout would be a little bit more than what we're seeing. However, people are voting. Someone has just arrived to cast his vote. They're coming in trinkles. That's what is very visible here in this particular unit. There's another unit right opposite the road. If you come with me, I've been standing here for a while now, and I haven't really seen people going there to vote. And even from here, I can see that the ballot box is looking empty even from my distance, right opposite. We'll just take a quick stroll there.
Yeah. Yeah, so, Deborah, I'm sure you can hear me.
Right.
When you walk...
This is actually Rumola Road, so this is another unit. I understand this is Unit 20.
Okay.
21, Unit 21. So, this particular unit, I see nothing inside the ballot boxes. This is Unit 21 in Ward 13 as well. So, and apparently, how long has this gone on? How long have voting commenced here? 30 minutes, okay. So here, voting has commenced within the last 30 minutes. and their boxes are all empty. Doesn't seem like people are turning out in this particular unit yet. Perhaps we'll check again.
All right, but, Deborah, can you hear?
Units actually, unit 20 and unit 21. So which one is 20? Which one is 21? 20 and that's 21. And in the both boxes, there are no voting slips. So that's what we have. This is unit 20 and 21 in Obiakpo, Ward 19, Ward 13. And then we also saw scanty voting at unit 15, opposite the road there. So that's what we have.
All right, Deborah, if you can hear me. If you can. Yes.
It's a different scenario.
All right. Okay, I was hoping you can hear me. Just can you hear me now, Deborah? All right, can you hear me, Deborah?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. There's compliance. You can see the street.
Oh,
take a shot of the street. Everybody, I can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. I think so that if you pick my questions correctly, I would like you to go to where the polling officers are and let them walk us through how the process is supposed to be. I don't know whether I can see beavers machine. Are they using beavers? When people come, how does it work for them? So just help us speak to them and let's have an education, if you will, on air.
Okay. Hello, good day, sir. What's your name, please?
My name is Ebere.
Okay, Berry who?
Elena.
Okay, you are the...
Polling clerk of Unit 21, Ward 13.
Okay. So tell us your impression since you got here. How many minutes have you been here? And what is your perception of what's going on here today?
Yeah, thank you. The material just arrived 30 minutes ago. We're already set for elections. Some persons that came in said they forget their PVC, so they went back to get their PVC so that we'll start voting. So far, so good. The election has been peaceful, and we are good to go.
Okay, I also have some human rights people here who seem to be monitoring what's going on in the units. This is Mrs. Mary Chijoke. Good day, ma.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing, and how's the election going by your perception?
I'm doing fine. By my perception, we still have voting empathy. The election is peaceful, but we are begging people to come out and vote. So thank you very much.
So, well, that's the impression that this is leaving us with at this time. We will just keep monitoring and see whether there are other scenarios that are better than what we've seen here.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Deborah. I want to make an appeal, to everyone who is watching us. So, Deborah, don't worry, we'll get back to you shortly. As you said, just monitor a number of other places, and then we'll be waiting to hear from you. I just want to make an appeal to the people who are watching us at home, particularly in Rivers State. Anywhere you are in Nigeria, you know anyone in Rivers State, let's just appeal to them to go out and vote. As you can see, everywhere is peaceful. The roads are free, and it's interesting that the polling booths are right there in front of your house.
Especially, let's contextualize those in the city center that we can see.
Exactly.
We don't know what's going on in the riverine areas.
Maybe we'll get information from there as well. But at least from what you can see, everywhere is peaceful. The security officials are there. The election materials are there. And if we're talking about waste, it will be on us, right, to deploy all of these resources, print ballot papers, deploy personnel, and we still don't go out to vote. At the end of the day, it is not a them thing anymore, it's an us thing. It's just the appeal we are making here at Channels Television. Let's justify the investments that we are making in all of these things. It begs the question, Mr. Lawal, my apologies, to that maybe we haven't really engaged the people enough, Mr. Lawal. Maybe we haven't done well. One of the things, in my experience on this job, and even from the Third Republic, monitoring elections and all until now, one of the consistent things that we have seen is that the job of creating awareness and educating the voter is not just that of the electoral umpire. It's also that of the political parties. 17 political parties, according to the RISEC chairman, participating in this election. And here we are, and the streets are still empty. What are your thoughts on that? Is it on the people? Is it on the political parties? Is it on governments? What exactly do you think is happening here?
I thank you very much. This is a topic I'm very invested in. For me, I think it's a problem with all of us. It's not restricted to just the political parties, the people, and this is how I look at it. Maybe because of our time under military rule, we have become so drunk with presidential elections. And most of the advocacy, now I'm going to hit on people in the CSO space, on NGOs, most of the advocacy is on the level of state governments and federal governments. Open governance systems, everything remains on that level. Most of the advocacy remains there. When you come down to the media is ready to jump at a presidential debate, a gubernatorial debate. When you say, come, let's do a local government debate, I'm not pointing at channels directly, so I'm packing everybody.
No, well, I can exempt channels on your behalf because we have dedicated 4 hours. Like I said, 4 hours this morning to the local government elections. Well, go ahead.
Okay, so the media, when it comes to local government elections, everybody bills or exits the room. This has brought quite a low cadre. Now, it's shocking to understand that a local government seems to be more important under a military rule than it is under a democratic rule. And I believe in a lot of us, everybody's guilty of it to different levels. The amount of money even released by the federal government to local governments is even shrouded in kind of secrecy. It's not public information. It's public information, but nobody wants to look for that information. Those who don't know what their local governments receive, we don't even understand the jobs of local governments. It's so bad that even those who are in local government positions do not understand the jurisdictions of their offices. And I know because I interfaced with them in Lagos, in different parts of Nigeria. They do not even understand the jurisdiction. We're in a country where our civic education and our understanding of politics does not even let us know that councillors are like the National Assembly of the local government. We don't even understand that. And therein lies the massive problem with local governments. The expose on it and the conversation, even the so-called not too young to run bill, everyone who came out under that conversation wants to run for House Rep, wants to run for this, wants to run for that. Nobody looks at that. Okay, I don't know how we've gotten into this quagmire, but I think it's something we really, really need to get out of. You can look at Obiakpo. I think it has 3 oil wells, is it, or 2? It's one of the richest local governments, like you stated, in River State, which means the local government chairman is going to be controlling something within the tune of 500 million and 1 billion per month in federal allocations. You can see in a ward 6 votes. The local government chairman is going to probably win, give or take, with less than 3,000 votes. You can mark that. You need less than 3,000 votes, 17 political parties participating, and over 1,000 people per polling unit. I think it goes to show, I didn't want to be right when I said earlier today that we're going to witness a 4%, 4-5% turnout. To begin to see it is painful. Yes, I understand the indices that made me make that statement, but to see it in practicality is hurtful.
Unfortunately, you are right. On this matter, unfortunately, you are right. And you have raised a very, very important conversation here. My apologies, Jeffrey. I know you have a question for him. But let me quickly take, Dr. Shitu's perspective on some of the issues that he has raised. And a number of other people have said the same thing. In all of our advocacy, we advocate more for the federal and state elections. Hardly do we ever give attention to local government elections. Raising the question again of the quality of people we are likely to attract. Because if on the one hand you don't know what your job is, on the other hand you don't even know whether you are qualified for the job, and you get there and you have to control the amount of money that he's talking about. Most certainly, the sheer bottom line is going to intimidate the fellow who's been appointed to do the job.
Well, I agree with almost all his submissions in this respect. I think what this also requires is that more quality people should begin to show interest in the local government administration. For instance, if you want to be the current FCT minister, Wiki, started from the local government level. He started his political career as a local government chairman. And then now he rose from there to become a governor and then to become a minister. Now he's also FCT minister. I think more people, you and I, should begin to show interest in the local government administration. Because that is where you are likely to impact the people more. All of us here belong to one local government administration or the other. Where you live, there's a local government council there. And then if you are having challenges about services, education, healthcare, and some other, deliverables that will impact your life, is that government that is closer to you. If we have a power supply or some other challenges that we have in our day-to-day living, issues that will take directly to the local government administration. So people should, focus on that area. Beyond that, I think the chairman of Rivers State Electoral Commission was on air the other time and assured us that they have made a lot of preparation. I can see that what he told us I can see evidence of that. Now, I think you cannot, as far as this election is concerned, begin to put blame at the doorstep of the River State Electoral Commission. You see, the officials are there, the voting materials are there. We can see clearly. Now, I think the real problem now is focus on the people, and that the people must come out. So, what you are doing here, all others. Television stations, you must also do that. You say you have dedicated 4 hours to cover this election. That is salutary. And I think the media, both electronic and the print, must join this crusade of enlightenment, of awareness, of sensitization, so that everybody is sufficiently. No, we cannot begin to say because we are not seeing the kind of governance that we expect. They will lay back. They will sit down, look. It doesn't help the process. People must come out. And again, we cannot begin it's premature now to say that people won't come out. They will come out. Some people like to see the weekend as a period where they will rest. And then rest very well before they come out.
Yeah, we'll go for a quick break. In election, there are like 3 phases. There's a phase of this phase we're talking about, going out to vote, and then the counting phase. Then there's a phase we call the quiet before the storm. That is when, between the movement of those materials and declaration of results, that's when the real drama really happens, especially at bigger elections. But we'll go on a quick break. When we come back, I have questions for both this Lenesek and Mr. Kunle Lawal of the Electoral College. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Miriam, entrepreneur and tech influencer, a young lady empowered to run her e-commerce platform.
Hi guys, guess whose package just came in? And guess who made that happen? Super App.
Her online store stays hot because Super App stays ready.
I'll just order more from the Super App.
Join millions of businesses on Super App today and be a part of Africa's digital renaissance. Visit superapp.tdafrica.com to get started. TD Africa, empowering you. Hey, Chooks don't do this electronic business. Hey, to find supplier we show, no be beans.
Hello? Okay, I don't confirm everything for the warehouse. Now to bring the goods come.
This Super App, all the are very fast to.
Chooks, they get everything for him shop on Super App. Original products, better prices, no stress. Join millions of businesses on Super App today and be a part of Africa's digital renaissance. Visit superapp.tdafrica.com to get started. TD Africa, empowering you.
The Duchess International Hospital opened its doors in October 2021. The mission of the hospital is to reverse medical tourism. We take particular care here at the Duchess to bring together a combination of the brightest and the best locally, as well as Nigerians in the diaspora who are interested in returning to do very good work for the benefit of our patients here in this country.
The good thing is that we have all international expertise here, all international facilities here, international people working here. Everything is coming together in a space which was considered not great in terms of the availability of healthcare.
Axis Bank, of course, has been able to provide us with a robust range of products and services that has enabled us to deliver that standard and quality of healthcare that is integral to our mission as an organization.
In the heart of Africa's largest economy, a silent transformation is unfolding. At the center of it all is Conga Group, an ecosystem of innovation, commerce, and capability.
Our goal was simple yet ambitious: to build robust infrastructure that simply connects our customers and our merchants, offering our customers greater variety while creating wealth and new opportunities for our merchants.
Our edge isn't just tech, it's about national execution every day.
Conga Health, where science meets beauty.
We are the engine behind Conga's nationwide delivery power.
We are redefining commerce in Nigeria, connecting millions of buyers and sellers through a secure, trusted, and scalable marketplace.
Conga Corporates serves the needs of corporates, delivered at the right price, at the right time, with peace of mind. Conga Pay, a fintech built on integrity for seamless transactions for merchants and everyone. Conga Radio and TV, connecting brands to their target audience and markets.
With Conga, what can't you do? Conga Group, the e-commerce group you trust.
What we're seeing is just the early days of what AI could actually do.
AI for us is a tool.
So we train AI systems that are able to do different tasks in healthcare, agriculture, on and on.
Africa is young. Africa is innovative.
Africa has unique challenges.
Western companies, big tech companies, aren't as invested in our problems and our unique experiences. So there's an opportunity for Africans to build our own data sets, to build our AI model.
I forget we're in Africa sometimes. I forget we're Africans. Most of the things are not built with us in mind. So we have to find our way to interact and to know what role that we play in that space.
We believe in artificial intelligence and we know that it's working and it's really helping us.
There is great promise, but also great fear.
There's no need to fear it. And as long as there is humans behind the technology, we're going to all enhance or embrace this superpower enabling technologies.
Today is a special day because there's an election in Rivers State, local government election today, August the 30th. As far as that election is concerned, today is 30th of August where this election is taking place in Rivers State. So it's a special sunrise dedicated to covering the exercise in Rivers State. So we've been touching base across board, especially in the city center. So we've actually spoken with the chairman of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. Our correspondent Deborah Balama is also on ground. She's checked in on, I think, Unit 15 and Unit 13. Unit 15, Unit 20, Unit 21, or what 13 in Obiakwa local government areas. So we're going to touch base on other local government areas in Port Harcourt local government, the Riverine area and the Upland area. My guest, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Dr. Wahab Shitu, and also the Director of Electoral College, Kunle Lawal, joining us virtually. Senior Advocate, let me come to you as we continue the conversation. And picking back from what Ayo said, while we're talking about turnout of voters, and it's quite worrying. That's why we need to keep the conversation going. As far as this is concerned, when elections like this that have low turnouts happen, do we really say this was really, of course, they will be declared winner and all of that, but in terms of the will of the people, proper will of the people, because will of the people means the people came out to vote for candidates of their choice, and then the majority had their way. So, for instance, I remember a governor, I think it's Edo State governor, that in one of his political statements, he was assuring the president is going to give him 2 million votes in 2027 election. I say it's not possible. Because if you look at the trajectory of the election in Edo State, for instance, it's just about 10-12% have voted for the governor to determine out of the, about 5 million people in the state and about 2 million registered voters. So assuring 2 million is just a political statement. But I'm referencing that to the effect that we see this play out across board. Politicians will come and give assurances of number of votes, and when we see the numbers, we're like, what exactly happened? So does this really represent the will of the people, this turnout, and how does it affect governance by extension? I'm going to throw that question as well to Kunle.
Well, it does not really reflect the will of the people when few people out of a very large population come out to express, to cast their votes. And that should be worrisome. And it's also an indictment on the process. That means that we are not doing more in terms of political education. We are not doing more in terms of sensitization. We are not doing more in terms of promoting awareness. So all the agencies that are supposed, to assist in delivery on this process must, raise their game. I'm particularly impressed lately. The National Orientation Agency, the DG, Issa Onilu, is doing a lot of work. But I think more of this work should be focused on sensitizing the people to come out during elections. The National Orientation Agency, the various media houses, both electronic and, the print, the political parties.
It has anything to do with what Mr. Lawal said the other time when he said that maybe because we haven't really escaped from our military past.
Well, there are a combination of factors is responsible. We cannot just say this is one particular factor responsible. I think the reality is that people are disenchanted. Some people, elements are disenchanted with the process. I mean, what has happened in the aftermath of elections in terms of delivery on governance. People are not, and the people are suffering too in some areas. They carry this over to how is going to happen? We must change that narrative. That it is only when you participate in the process that you are able to influence policies, and that you are able to also, raise your voice. To monitor those who are elected by you. So you don't allow disenchantment to stop you from engaging the process. You don't sit down, look, and then criticize policies because you have not all along been part of the process. So I think we should redirect our mindsets. We should, and all of us here, you are playing that role now. What you are doing here is also very important. Dedicating 4 hours of your time. That means you are not even thinking of the profit motive. Because whether you like it or not, Channels is not set up for charity. But at least you know that it's also important for you to contribute to the governance process in order for you to be able to effectively deliver on your obligations. That should be the attitude. I think, you understand me? That should be the attitude. Political parties have a role to play. Electoral bodies have a role to play. Citizens themselves too have a role to play. NGOs have a role to play. And like what Mr. Lawal of the Electoral, college is doing, is a public service, duty. All of us must take ownership of the process. It's beyond just electoral bodies because it's about our destiny, it's about our country, and then we must not sit down, look, and then allow things to degenerate. In political office holders too, must not just come to the people when they need them for elections. And then after election, then they will start carrying on as if they are You understand me? Accessibility. They should connect with the people. Constituency projects must, reach out to the people. I see some of them doing a lot in terms of delivery on democracy DVS. But a lot more still must be done so that people can feel the impact of governance and then take ownership of the process.
Let me take it to Mr. Lawal. Mr. Lawal, similar question. I'm trying to dig deep into the issue of this will of the people. Whoever is elected, whether he was elected by a majority of just one, maybe 10 people voted him or 20 people, he said, I have the mandate of the people. The mandate of the people.
Can you be kind? Majority of one.
Mr. Lawal, I know you understand my question. Just help us out here. This will of the people against voter apathy.
The last time Nigeria had, let's say, a president who was by the will of the people, which you can say is a majority of participation in election above 50%, was 2015. Post 2015, we've been dropping below 20-something percent, now as low as 24, 25%. When you're at gubernatorial level, that's running for governor of a state, the election participation drops to about range of 18 to 21% in some states. When you get to local government election, you're down below 7%. No government section in Nigeria represents the exact will of the population. But that is to say, in a democracy, it's the people that come out that determine who is in power. And I think this is where Nigerians miss it. And in all my election experience, results can only be tampered with when you are not fully around for your elections. Meaning, if a polling unit has, give or take, 700 people, the polling unit's results will remain the same if 650 people came out. If 100 people came out, it gives them a disparity of 600 votes to alter. And I've seen this I've seen this happen in separate elections. Democracy only stands for the people that come out. But here's the conversation. Like what we do at the Electoral College, we feel that a lot of Nigerians voter apathy is also because the people do not know. So many Nigerians do not even know. The easiest people to hold accountable are the local governments. Why? Because they do not have immunity. The Constitution does not provide immunity for them. Meaning that if they touch either their federal allocation or their IJR and you take the case to court, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the same state using the Nigerian factor. Another state, that would probably be the FCT. They can go to jail. But we don't even know that. Now, like San said in the studio, there are lots of factors that clearly come together. For me, the highest is political illiteracy. The fact we do not even know what to demand. We don't even know the function of local government. We are not, we're so distant from it. And I don't know why. There's so much money. I think in 2024 alone, over 2.33 trillion. 2.33 trillion was spent on local governments alone. And we can't account for it. So the will of the people is always on the basis of how politically educated they are. That's how I choose to define it. So if you do not understand the powers of a particular position, why would you even participate? That's why we have below 10%. The people also doubt how powerful a governor is. They know a governor is powerful, but restricted to their collective view of power in Nigeria. That's why elections drop to below 20% when it comes to gubernatorial elections. The only office we believe in is the president. And even though we have 93 million registered voters as of last check, we cannot account for 30 million voters in the presidential election. So for me, the biggest problem is political illiteracy. And when you talk about political illiteracy, most people will say at the grassroots, no. I even believe that the most political illiterate people in Nigeria are what you term the middle class. And the middle class in politics are those who, of course, are past secondary school leaving certificate to professors and etc. To me, they are the most political illiterate bunch. And we've done our studies. I'm not saying this because I just want to say it. I'm saying it because they rarely understand what it takes in political process, who does what, how it's being done, and how it's supposed to affect them. Most of us demand funny things from the legislature, and we're not even supposed to demand things that we are. Constituency projects, I believe there's no part of the Constitution that validates that. But that's what we demand from our National Assembly instead of demanding laws and oversight on the executive. So you see where the problem lies. Massively, it is political illiteracy. I think that's what's responsible for the fact that we have voter apathy, and then eventually our government does not represent the will of people.
Interesting perspectives, Mr. Lawal. But today, while we are addressing the cogent issues and everything, today is a day that we have to give attention to. Whether people vote or not, Dr. Shitu, local government chairmen will emerge. Councillors will emerge. And to something that you said earlier about us challenging the system, attracting the right set of people. Let's say this is our repentance period, okay? That chairmen will emerge, councillors will emerge, whether you voted for them or not, and they will administer your resources. They are your resources, whether you know it is yours or not. In terms of now testing the process and pressuring the process to begin to attract the right quality of people, what do you think should follow? I know that Jeffrey is inching for post-election activities, BVAS, transfer of election votes and all of that. What are your expectations? How do you think people can begin to pressure the system, test the system, as we say, so that we can begin to attract the right set of people?
Well, I think people can provide oversight in terms of monitoring. Now that the local government council is not just local government council of yesteryears ago, they are in charge of very, very huge budgets. A lot of funds are now coming directly to local government council. That's the effect of the pronouncement of the Supreme Court. So the local government now is big enterprise. You understand me? So people should constitute themselves into committees, into groups, into pressure outlets to oversee what is going on there. I'm from Mofa, local government in Kwara State. And I think, and we have a platform, the Disenchantment platform. And every time you see issues relating to how our local government is governed being discussed. In fact, you see people coming out with posters that look how much. In fact, they even post to the platforms what is received by the council chairman, and then what is done. And you see the local government chairman too, trying to justify what he is doing in terms of projects here, assets here, So people are aware that a lot of money is coming into the local government, and they are interested in how these monies are being, expended. That is what should happen, and that is why you see a lot of development taking place, for local government, for instance. And I'm not saying that just to boast. That's the first community grammar school in the entire northern Nigeria came from Mofa. And the people are really, people that they should take ownership of what is going on there. Yeah, the chairman is there to represent us. He's there to deliver to the local government. He must be accountable to us. And we must get him to be accountable to us. Because the resources that is put under his care is our collective commonwealth. You understand what I'm saying? And that's how people should see it. I'm in Lagos here. I take interest in what's going on in my local government. Everybody should take interest in what is going on there. In terms of services. And then you should also highlight areas of specific needs of the people, what they need. So that, everybody's, they are put constantly on their toes.
Which actually, hardly happens because people just see projects that they don't, sometimes it's like, who asked you? Anyway, Mr. Lawal, let me ask you this question. Yeah. One of the things that a number of people might be looking at now, and I'm sure it's something you are perhaps also equally concerned about, is how friendly the design of our electoral processes are for young people. Given that the percentage of voters that we have, they are way more than 50%. Young people are way more than 50% in the voting public that Nigeria has today. In terms of the design of the electoral process, do you think it is something, do you think it needs work so that it can appeal more to the young people? Or what's your take?
Well, first, I would like to say how the channels statistically bring people from the same local government. But this conversation,
you're from the same local government.
Is it from Opatu?
You will tell us. To young people. Yes, what we do at the Electoral College, we've tried to ensure that we kind of make politics inviting, interesting. We've tried to, make a few things, that, will seem attractive, that they want to read, they want to pay attention to. We have an ebook that, tries to make the whole process more inviting. I would say a lot of us have to do a lot in this regard. Now, be it media, be it government organizations, like you mentioned, the National Orientation Agency, INEC itself, and then CSOs and NGOs like ourselves, etc., need to do more in bringing this, because young people actually make up 65% of our voting population. Right now, as of 2027, they are going to even make very close to 70% of our voting population. But what's shocking to understand is that they are even one of the least sectors we are looking at, those who actually participate in elections. So if 70% of us are really not concerned about elections, and there is a problem. And the only way to try to break this is we've tried to interface, tried to work with, things in the entertainment industry, bring in political literacy conversations to people that they look up to, and, they try to want to listen to, have to get them into those conversations. We've also looked at mainstreaming, like the work the Electoral College does. We're looking at mainstreaming into movies, actualities about the process. Because the Nigerian movie industry has kind of, has turned, no offense to them, but has turned almost everything political into a horror movie. We are trying to demystify that, working with a few producers, trying to show the real process, so that subconsciously they are being educated. A lot of more work will be put into this by a lot of more, but they are critical to even getting this local government right, because they should be the ones running for councillor. They should be that under 35. They should be the ones running for councillor. They should be the ones who are local government chairmen. They should be the ones participating. In short, this is their election. And to see them not even participate, see them not even part of the process, it's highly, highly, highly a big question we need to ask of our democracy.
Let me come to you. The first schedule of the Constitution clearly states
the functions.
The function of the local government. And if you look at the schedule, you see that when I look at these provisions, I tell myself, literally the states have usurped some of these responsibilities. Yes. So don't you think that this usurping of responsibility by the state is really why people are not bothered about this? Because they just feel that local government, apart from the civil servants that are there, is just to empower the boys. Put your boys so that when election comes, because they will help you win election as governor or whatever. And then you also see a situation where, if not for the Supreme Court judgment that is still yet to be implemented effectively the way we expect it to be implemented, governors control the funds of local government at their whims and caprices. Not all of them, though. Some don't do it. But if you look at that first schedule and look at what they do, provision and maintenance of primary, health, primary adult vocational education, development of agriculture and natural resources other than exploitation of materials, provision and maintenance of health services. There isn't the control and regulation of outdoor advertising and hoarding. Maybe all this, is it last time? I've forgotten what they do. Restaurant, bakeries. There are so many things here that if you look at what some of these basic things they do, states have taken over.
States cannot lawfully take over.
But they have unlawfully taken over.
So that is why we should.
For instance, control and regulation of outdoor advertising.
Yes.
It is not controlled by the state, by the local governments. That is what the
it's wrong. You see, that's
signed and advertising agencies of some state governments now do.
That should be the focus of the advocacy. The advocacy should focus on this. You see, some of these functions, that's what the point I wanted to make, and you just say you preempted me. We should, perhaps the advocacy should say, we should now get people to be aware about the functions earmarked for local government council by the Constitution. Some people don't know what the local government councils are supposed to do.
I beg to differ, sir. Okay. And here is why. The laws, this signage and advertising agency thing, for instance, are made by the state houses of assembly, who have superintendent power over the local government's administrations. And the Constitution, not just the law, says the control and regulation of outdoor advertising is the responsibility of the local government administrations. And here we are. Who appoints whoever is heading the signage and advertising agency of a good number of states in Nigeria?
I agree with you. I think that still comes to what I said earlier. That if we want to practice democracy, then we should practice democracy by respect for the rule of law. I said so. So if we were to, and the respect of the rule of law encompasses primarily respect for the Constitution. When you claim to be practicing democracy, constitutional democracy, and you are not respecting the provisions of the Constitution, then you are not practicing democracy.
Well, there's democracy at play in Rivers State today. And I heard one of our colleagues is at
Yes, Leonard sake, it's not as if we want to cut you. You know, we're touching base. Conle will also come to you in just a moment because I know you're very passionate about this as well. Let's get to our correspondent in Port Harcourt, Kumbi. She is in Rumo Precom. That is the local government of the... Obiakpo is a local government, but that's a community that Nyesom Wiki, the FCT minister, comes from, Rumo Precom. Kumbi, good morning, I think is in order. Tell us what's going on where you are. All right, Kumbi, if you can hear me, I just wanted you to give us an update of what is happening. As the minister come out to vote, what exactly is happening? Oh dear. Well, we'll try to establish connection. With,
right here at Rumo Precom, Ward 9, Unit 007. And as you can see right behind me, the officials are actually trying to prepare for the voting that would commence shortly. They arrived some minutes past 9:26 a.m. and they're still trying to set up. As of now, voting hasn't commenced, and we've also seen security operatives around this polling unit, and a handful of voter observers are also here to monitor activities at this polling unit. So right now, everything is calm. Voting hasn't started, but we're expecting that these activities will kick off, as the day, goes by.
All right, Kumbi, I wanted to find out from you, is that the polling unit the FCT minister is expected to vote later on in the day whenever it comes out?
Yes, the FCT minister is actually expected to vote here. We're still waiting for his arrival, for him to come and, cast his vote at this polling unit. But for now, voting hasn't started, like I said earlier, and we're just waiting for everything to, come and take place as expected in this polling unit.
All right. Thank you, Kumbi. We'll touch base with you. As soon as that starts happening, I'm sure you will let us know so we can come to you and be part of that whole exercise, because there are a couple of other persons. But we'll come back to the studio. Okay, maybe, Kumbi, you walk us through. I can see the camera zooming in. I'm not sure, but tell me, what exactly are you telling us?
All right, so we would actually speak to one of the electoral officials right now who is still trying to prepare the materials for voters to cast their vote. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, please, can you tell us your name?
Ichemwa Justice.
All right. We noticed that you came like 9:28 a.m. and you're still trying to, prepare the materials here. But what are you really expecting from this day?
My job here is just to make sure everything goes smoothly and people vote according to their parties. That's just it.
All right. Do you have enough materials for voters to actually, exercise their franchise?
Yes, I have enough voters because I still have their names and orders for me to attend to them.
How many number of voters are registered at this polling unit?
I can't say at the moment.
You don't have the records?
I have the records, but I have other jobs doing. So anyone that comes, I checked and the person registered because I still have enough paper for them here to register.
Okay. Well, can you give us an estimate?
I can't give you that, ma'am.
But the number of voters registered, you still don't have that figure as well?
Because I just came into this polling unit, so I'm still on my records, which you can see I'm making the stamps for them to register, so I can't go there for now, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much. So we'll be monitoring activities at this polling unit and we'll definitely report back accordingly. Back to you, John.
All right, Kumbi, just before I let you go, we'll try and get the number of voters in that polling unit, but that's quite critical. But before we let you go, I want you to find out from him or whoever is assisting him, how are they voting? Are they using BVAS? At least for the national election state, we're clear on BVAS will help us determine the number of registered voters so that we don't have overvoting and the shenanigans that happen in election. So if there is no BVAS being used, biometrics to determine who is an authentic voter at that polling unit and determining, avoid rigging and all of that, how would they be able to assure credibility of the exercise? Just help us find out about whether they're using BVAS or not.
Okay, so let me go back to the electoral official. Would like to know, sir, are there beavers here? Because we can't see anything currently. We just see that there are papers and it's the manual process.
It's just a manual process.
So you're not making use of beavers here at this polling unit?
No.
Why is that though? Because it's expected that beavers is used, during the election.
Depending on what they provide for the election, that's what we are going to use at the polling unit.
Okay, so it wasn't provided, beavers wasn't provided for this polling unit?
It wasn't provided, generally.
Thank you so much. So, like you said, there's no beavers here. We only can see the manual process, which is the paper stamp, where they put the ink and then they stamp. So, we expect that this polling unit actually sees a lot of voters come by because right now we haven't seen anyone even waiting for the officials to finish the process that they've started. But however it is, we'll be on ground to, monitor activities here.
All right, great job. Kumbi will come back to you as soon as we get further details from you. But back here in our studios, Leonard Silk. Let me go to Kunle. Kunle, these are some of the issues we raise, for state elections, federal elections, we're used to using beavers, but you have been on ground. How do we really assure or get a credible exercise when we can't use electronic voting, or not electronic vote, beavers, for instance, for purposes of accreditation and the entire thing? Because we know how it works with the other elections. You go, you're verified, you're accredited with the beavers. The beavers captures how many people showed up to vote. So whatever happens above the number that is on the BVAS, that election, that polling unit is cancelled. But now that we don't have all of that, how do they walk around local government elections? Doesn't this create room for, malpractice?
You see, earlier in the conversation, I stated clearly that INEC needs to take over state elections, and this is one of the anomalies I was talking about. You cannot successfully verify on ground the exact. You heard him in the interview. How many people are in this polling unit? He could not give you that number. He just had names. He's going to cross-check and PVC numbers, which he's going to cross-check. That is not a viable method of how would I put it, of voting. Whether we like it or not, Nigeria must begin to look at a way to tie voters' card to NIN, whether we like it or not eventually, to solve these anomalies, so that maybe they have access to the NIN portal for state elections. But I'm more critical with taking the election totally to INEC. And that's because of intentional supremacy of the incumbent ruling party and their powers on state electoral commissions. So I've never really thought local government elections based on what's on ground are really verifiable with voters, and that's why you have so many anomalies with LG elections. It's normally complicated. I know you guys are concentrating on Obiapo, but if there's anything I've learned from local government elections, participation in more rural areas are better than participation in dense areas. So if you have a place like Obiapo, Port Harcourt, major places, voting turnout is normally scary, or more boost. But if you go to into the hinterlands, into remote areas, voter turnout is usually better in such areas than in suburban areas.
And that should be a concern. Well, we're still talking. Well, by the way, Mr. Lawal, we are not really focusing on one particular local government, irrespective of whoever it is. Every Nigerian, in the eye of the law, as the learned Sikh will say, in the eye of the law, every Nigerian is equal. Isn't that the case, sir?
Does.
Okay. Now, given that, you are told us here, you've advised that Nigerians should begin to interrogate the processes, irrespective of whatever the outcome is today. Now, there's something the First Lady said, re-echoing something the President had often said, even before he became President. Power is not served a la carte. You have to take it. Now, people in power, even as low, well, forgive me my use of the term, as a councillor, don't just want to relinquish it. Consequently, sometimes some people, when you just look them in the eye and ask them some questions, they are up in arms. How do people safely interrogate this process in the interest of our nation?
Thank you. I think there should be a change of mindset, attitudinal chemistry on the part of political office holders. First, they need to change their own mindset to recognize that they are supposed to be servants of the people and not masters of the people. When you are elected into a public office, you are elected as a servant. The number one public servant that we have in the country is the president. And all other office holders are also servants. If they see themselves as servants, then they will then realize that granting access to people to see them is not a privilege. It's a right. That's the first thing. Secondly, they should also know that they are elected to provide service to the people. And when they provide that service, they are not doing the people a favor. They are simply fulfilling the obligation of their mandate. So it should be easy for people, subject to compliance with established protocols, to assess their chairman, to assess their councillors, to assess their governors.
But you said something about change of mindset.
Yes.
And it goes to what Mr. Lawal also said the other time. How does government communicate? But more importantly, how do the people communicate with the people that are governing them, so to speak?
Yes.
Here is why I asked the question. And Jeffrey will probably affirm this as well. The generational communication is at an all-time state of confusion, if I can put it that way. Because when you get online and you read some things, you're wondering who is talking to who and what is this person essentially saying. Unfortunately, and in most cases, again, unfortunately, many people who will be interested in being government official at any of these, local government or whatever, they are not the average Gen Zs, as Jeffrey would say. They are people perhaps a little older. The way they communicate is different from the way the Gen Z communicates. Unfortunately, as you and Mr. Lawal have said, we seem to have been quote-unquote drugged to only focus on the federal government and the state governments. And now you are calling for a change of mindset.
Yes.
And this change of mindset has to be across board.
Across the board, yes.
How do we get that? Speaking particularly to young people, because in another 10 years from now, the 20-year-old Gen Z will still be Gen Z, but he's 30. In another 20 years, the 20-year-old is 40, and he is no longer the Gen Z of today. So how do we begin this migration, this mindset migration, in a way that it is sustainable, so that we don't find ourselves in this quagmire that we're in right now?
Okay. First of all, government must have, at all levels, must be committed to certain value standards. You understand me? Certain, code of ethical and political behavior. Now, you then appoint people across, divisions who can effectively communicate. You spoke about Gen Zs. Appoint one of them who understand their language, who understand their chemistry, to communicate with them. You don't understand what I'm saying? Yeah. What is lacking essentially is that if you find one of your own as your representative in government, look for all the interest groups and then get people who understand their own language, their own chemistry, their own attitude.
And to communicate with them.
Yes.
Mr. Lawal, do you think that will work?
Good day.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Do you think that council will work?
It might. With everything, there's always the Nigerian factor, which you must be afraid of sometimes. And the way I see it, I think the real issue, even if you're going to look at, let's say, our elections or any other parameter, rule of law, whatever, is that most of us, and this is what I critically think, I could be wrong, but this is what I critically think. Most of us are not Nigerians first before we're any other thing. So therein lies our problem. We do not think of a collective identity. We do not operate within a collective prison. And that's what always makes every attempt in which we try to do things in Nigeria kind of, tilt us to a biased angle or to a particular position.
Okay, so the question still goes, and I'm not sure whether you understand what I've said. How does it help the system for instance, Dr. Wahab Shitu to engage 20-year-old Gen Z as chairman of local government, to engage a 20-year-old Gen Z as a spokesperson when both of them probably don't even understand each other's language?
I think there is a common language, and the common language is development. Now, we concentrate so much on trying to speak to Gen Z. Now, if you provided what was available by local government, okay, what are you in charge of? You ensure markets are well sanitized. The parts of the road that are under jurisdiction you can handle. Infrastructure-wise, local government brings in, let's say, a solar center for youth, a solar-powered center for youth with internet, and they're teaching them coding. You have already transmitted development to them. The best language in governance is action, or in physical government. So, wondering about whether they can converse as a local government chairman to a Gen Z. For me, what are you conversing about? Telling him the functions of a local government, or telling him what you intend to do? I prefer the best action being delivery on your deliverables as the best conversation. That's what I would think is a conversation.
We're totally out of time, but I must give you 10 seconds to just your closing thoughts. Lenny.
I think now that greater funds are now being delivered directly to local government councils, and they are sufficiently empowered to be able to, function effectively. Local government, councils will now be used as the engine to drive our environmental process. Everybody should be concerned about what is going on about local government councils. And finally, I think we should communicate more effectively on the functions of local government councils to Nigerians, so that everybody is aware of what local government councils are set up to do. And we should monitor and deliver oversight to ensure they deliver their mandate.
All right, fantastic. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Dr. Wahab Shitu, always coming through whenever we call. Thank you so much for coming on the program and helping us make sense of what is playing out in Rivers as well as other issues. Kule Lawal of the Executive Director at Electoral College. Thank you, sir, as well, for coming on the program. We appreciate you. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll switch gears away from the politics and the local government election just for a bit before we get back to it. We'll be right back in just a moment. Stay with us.
Across Nigeria, one digital platform is changing the game for resellers, business owners, and everyday entrepreneurs who need a trusted source for tech products. Introducing the TD Africa Super App, your gateway to tech products directly from manufacturers. Get access to competitive prices on a variety of products such as computers, phones, consumer electronics, printers, inks and toners, inverter solutions, and many more from brands like Samsung, HP, Huawei, Dell, Zynox. In just a few clicks, scale your business, do seamless trade, track your orders, and maximize profits. Are you ready to join Africa's most powerful reseller network? Join millions of businesses on Super App today and be a part of Africa's digital renaissance. Visit superapp.tdafrica.com to get started. One platform, one purpose, powered by innovation. TD Africa, empowering you.
In a land where every dreamer seeks security. Hello? One name stands strong. With POW Pensions, your wealth is preserved, securing a future for your family. With POW Pensions, every contribution grows your future.
These POW Pension people are really doing me well. That's why I'm encouraging you both to go and register with them.
Turn today's work into tomorrow's security. For 2 decades, POW Pensions has been trusted to grow, establish, and secure a brighter future. Secure your tomorrow by starting today. Pal Pensions, your pal for life.
In the heart of Africa's largest economy, a silent transformation is unfolding. At the center of it all is Conga Group, an ecosystem of innovation, commerce, and capability.
Our goal was simple yet ambitious: to build robust infrastructure that simply connects our customers and our merchants, offering our customers greater variety while creating wealth and new opportunities for our merchants.
Our edge isn't just tech, it's about national execution every day.
Conga Health, where science meets beauty.
We are the engine behind Conga's nationwide delivery power.
We are redefining commerce in Nigeria, connecting millions of buyers and sellers through a secure, trusted, and scalable marketplace.
Conga Corporates serves the needs of corporates, delivered at the right price, at the right time, with peace of mind. Conga Pay, a fintech built on integrity for seamless transactions for merchants and everyone.
Conga Radio and TV, connecting brands to their target audience and markets.
With Conga, what can't you do? Conga Group, the e-commerce group you trust.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Well, quickly, before we take on the information that Jeffrey told us earlier, let's quickly dash to River State, where Kumbi is standing by to give us a quick update. Kumbi, go ahead. What's new?
All right.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so we're still at Rima Precom and Ward 9, Unit 7. As you can see now, there's actually a large turnout of voters here. If my cameraman can just pan, you'd see that the line is actually going right into the road. And earlier, I'd actually reported that there were no voters here, but now they're back here. Apparently, they were hanging around, but now they've come to queue, and voting has actually commenced right here at this polling unit. And if we can actually just speak to one of the voters who is on the queue now to find out his expectations. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you, sir. What's your name, please?
Kingsley Awabi.
Okay, what are your expectations here today?
Well, this is enthronement of democracy at the grassroots level. By the grace of God, we have commenced. You can see the large turnout of people. I will believe at the end of the day, democracy will be rooted very well from the grassroots.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. This is, like I said earlier, Rima Precom, Ward 9, unit, polling unit 007. And this is actually the FCT minister's polling unit. He's expected to be here a few minutes from now. And as you can see, voting has commenced. We can see a big mommy here. Good morning, ma.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. What are your expectations here today?
Vote now for our people.
Okay. Are you excited to be here?
Yes.
And you believe democracy will progress?
So, yes.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So, yes, we're still on ground monitoring, and as soon as the minister comes here, we'll definitely report back. You can see that the boxes are already here on the table, and like I said earlier, voting has commenced, and we'll just monitor on ground.
Well, thank you very much, Kumbi. I'm really waiting for the updates, as you have spoken about. Again, we ought to have started earlier, but hey, this is where we are now. Thank you very much, Kumbi. Well, quick one. Let's quickly dash to Abuja, where we want to have a quick conversation about Vernacular Heritage Initiative. Now, this is a non-governmental and non-profit organization working to promote the identification, protection, and management of Nigeria's cultural heritage as a contribution to the expression of the world's cultural diversities through strategic services, and through strategic services, it provides access to conservation expertise and skills for all cultural heritage stewards. Dr. Obafemi Olukoya joins us in our Abuja studio. He's a project coordinator and director, Vernacular Heritage Initiative. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, one of the things, my colleague here, we were having a conversation, and the first thing he said, wait a minute, Why did they have to call it vernacular? Please justify that for us in the first place. Is it, because right now we can say that our language is the language, and English is the vernacular. Is that what you have in mind?
Oh, indeed. Well beyond that, right? So the concept of vernacular just go beyond just mere language. Vernacular means rootedness to a specific place, rootedness to a specific culture, rootedness to a specific geographical location. So it's a common assumption to assume it's only limited to language. So we have vernacular architecture, that is an architecture of a people within a given place, right? So architecture of a people, by a people, and for a people, right? So the concept of vernacular does go way beyond, of course, language. I know commonly it does seem as if it's vernacular, especially also growing up in Nigeria. You know, growing up, we used to, in school, they used to tell us, don't speak vernacular, that is, don't speak your mother's tongue in school, you should speak English. But I'm just trying to let you know that the concept of vernacular just does transcend language. Language is only one of the many strands of the notion of vernacular. Yes.
I know that there's an advocacy and an advancement you're pushing forward. And let's get to that, which has to do with the rainwater harvesting project. That's for the Kofia Hill settlement as part of your advancement. Maybe let's get straight to that and give us in detail exactly what you're trying to do with this and what it is exactly before we probe even further.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Like he rightly mentioned, our organization is a non-profit organization, so we are into this sort of humanitarian project, and of course through external fundings from diverse organizations. And for this specific rainwater harvesting project, it's been generously funded by Gedaenke Stiftung, right? And the idea of the rainwater harvesting project, just like the name suggests, is to kind of harvest water for this particular community who has been, of course, without water for several generations on the mountains in Plateau State, right? So the idea is to harvest, to take advantage of this particular rainy season to provide a storage system, which then they will have access to, of course, during the dry spell over there in this particular mountain. And we commissioned this particular project, of course, just on Monday, that is on the 25th of August. The project is also part of the broader framework project, which is targeted at the socio-economic revival of this particular community. And I think your guess is as good as mine. Most communities without water, it's always the women and the children, you know, that bear enormous burden of the absence, or let me say the scarcity of water. In this particular village, every drop, you know, is super important. Their animals die off during dry season. People have to migrate away from the community due to the absence of water. So as one of the objectives, many objectives of the broader project, which is targeted at the socio-economic revival of this community, the rainwater harvesting project started last year, and of course we were able to commission it in August, and now of course we'll be going forward with the monitoring till the beginning of the dry season.
So Gedaenke has partnered with, so I'm wondering what they are really all about. That's on one hand, and what are the kind of, in your pitching for this project, because we have to look at sustainability on one hand and look at the implementation in every other site that you may be propping to take part or take this project to. So what exactly is your interest in this? And the reason for this question sometimes has to do with partnership hesitancy as well as intent.
Yes, exactly. So like I said, we are a domestic organization here in Nigeria. You know, many, among others, of our particular initiative is also to bring this sort of social impact projects to diverse communities. So we put together this idea. This is a particular community that we've been working with over the last 5 years. We did architectural restoration there. We did vocational training. We did capacity building. We also built a community center, which is also funded by Gedaenke Stiftung, right? So our own duty basically is to try to identify such communities, you know, with this kind of lack. Then we put together, of course, an application. We approach diverse institutions. And in this particular instance, Gedaenke Stiftung is the one that came through and of course has been able to sustain the funding to this particular community. Like I mentioned, the rainwater harvesting initiative is only one of the strands of a bigger, broader project which is targeted at the socio-economic revival of this particular community. The other objective, which we had also recently concluded, including training the youths in this particular community. We trained well over 50 people in this particular community in diverse vocational skills program. Not only limited to that, but we also use the opportunity to ensure that we develop approaches for the sustainability of threatened traditional skills like thatching, like weaving, like traditional hairdressing and so forth and so on. So we also, engaged in a vocational skill program for such traditional skills also. Besides that, we also provided a solar-powered grinding machine for this particular community. We did also farmers' capacity building because, among others, as you do know, food security is very pivotal to the sustainability of such settlements. And it was already obvious that the crop yields were beginning to, of course, lower over the years, so we did farmers' capacity building also. Then finally, like I mentioned, we constructed the community center where we had shops for the diverse vocational skills to operate, right? So in this community, you have to climb for more than 3 hours before you get to these people. So usually they will go to the lowland area just because they need to sew their clothes. They will go to the lowland area just because they need to barb and so forth and so on. So ever since our vocational skills program, now they have a shop where now they can operate, and all of this access is now available to those people on the mountain. They do not have to trek 3 hours to the lowland area to have access to any of these services anymore. But of course, like I mentioned already, all thanks to the funding that we received from Gedeinkel Stiftung.
I just yesterday, even this, the suspended lake. To get to the suspended lake, the only suspended lake, natural suspended lake in the world, the only suspended lake, natural suspended lake in the world, you climb something in the region of 45 minutes or thereabout, more or less. I don't know. I hope I got that number right. But to have to climb for 3 hours to a community,
yes,
it has to take a lot of thinking before you embark on that kind of thing. Well, maybe Jeffrey will want to date one of these days. But the initiative, the initiative we just talked about, help us understand how does the infrastructure work? Can you explain the technology to us, in the technology behind this, what you call this simple system? How does it work?
Yes, so what we did when we did a feasibility study initially, before we embarked on this particular rainwater harvesting objective, was we conducted a feasibility study. Our initial idea was to actually dig a borehole, but we realized it's practically impossible. Even if we have sufficient and even enormous investments to dig a borehole, it had a possibility for environmental impact, because there is nearby on that mountain is a volcanic mountain, which means that place is very seismically very sensitive, right? So even if it's going to be very difficult to dig a borehole, the environmental impact in the long run is going to be catastrophic for this particular community. So we thought together after the feasibility study, what in fact can we do? Then we decided, okay, since they also have good access to rain, I mean the rainfall pattern in the particular place, in this particular community, is quite stable. So we decided, why not? Since they also have a church, they have a couple of buildings in the church, in the particular community with wide roof, besides their vernacular tiny houses, which is built with thatch roof. So we have some 3-4 buildings that is zinc. So we took advantage of the zinc, also considering the fact that the runoff coefficient for the wide span of the roof gives us an advantage to be able to take advantage of the rain. So we decided, of course, then we tie our water collection pipes all around the buildings, and then the water collection pipe leads to the storage tanks. Then from the storage tanks, it goes into the water collection point. One thing that is particularly unique about what we attempted to do here, or what we have done already, excuse me, is that we decided not to use anything mechanical. That is either through a pumping machine or to use maybe a solar-powered pumping machine or whatever. No. What we did here is to rely exclusively on gravity. So the water comes from the roof into the storage tank. Then we sited the water collection points into a place that is a bit lower now from where the water collection point is, which means everything that we do have, all of the infrastructure that we do have here, operates naturally. without anything mechanical. And the idea and the main reason behind this is even while you are traveling to Plateau State, you might probably have noticed this, there's a lot of failed water projects all over the place. And this is simply due to over-reliance on mechanical means. By the time you put in place these pumping machines and all of that, it looks very nice the first year. Then the second year, it requires maintenance. The third year, it's completely broken. And then this sort of community, they do not even have the financial capacity to be able to update it. So this is why we decided that we're just going to leave everything to flow naturally, taking advantage of the gradient that we already have in this particular community. And beyond that, we also have an overhead tank, which is something that is quite interesting. We have an overhead tank in this particular community, which is serving the community center. And how the water gets into the overhead tank and gets into the building is also absolutely using natural gravity. So there's nothing mechanical in this particular place. So it's going to at least potentially require almost zero, let me say, maintenance cost on the part of these people to ensure long-term sustainability. So we put all of this into consideration, given the socio-economic condition of these people. If the borehole breaks down, they do not even have the financial capacity to update it. So this is why we decided to use everything that's natural, taking advantage, again, like I mentioned, of the topography that's available to us in this particular place.
I'm just listening to you. Sound very brilliant. But so that we'll be absolutely ingenious of what you guys have been able to pull off. So for clarity and context, you're saying that you don't need any form of electricity, any of that, so that we're clear. And is it... you depend solely on rainwater to be able to provide this water, and how much rain happens in that area?
Yes, absolutely correct. So like I mentioned, we did a feasibility study. We had a clear report on the amount of rainfall per month in this particular community. So on the basis of this, together with the runoff coefficient of the span of the buildings that is available, we calculate also the per capita water need of each of the compound in this particular community. Then we determined the number of sizes of tank and the total number of tanks that is going to be required for this infrastructure to carry them throughout the entire dry months. That is between December, usually, to sometimes in April. So what we have right there, if they will follow our fetching schedule, which is something we have also shown them during our commissioning event, if they are going to follow our fetching schedule between December to April each year, they would be absolutely fine. And this is not just limited to the community where we have the specific infrastructure, because we have more than 11 communities on this particular mountain. However, this particular project is only sited in Kofia settlement. So the neighboring community are also going to be beneficiaries of the water during the dry season. So we did a very careful calculation that if a particular compound has access to 2 of 25 liters water per week, it means multiplied by the total number of compound in 3 different villages, it will, of course, sustain them throughout the entire dry month. So what we are seeing right now, of course, these are the water kegs that we distributed to them to ensure the rationing of the water such that they are able to, of course, to continue to have access to it throughout the entire 4 to 5 dry spell.
You know, I just enjoy everything you're saying. And I'm going to ask you about the issue about scaling this. How much are you thinking in that direction? Because especially your per capita component, which is quite brilliant, because you have to look at it needs assessment basis. You know, and it's commendable what you're doing, because I'm sure that when elections come, polling booths find themselves down to that place for people to vote.
Absolutely.
But for development, polling booths, development finds a way not to get there. So you are closing a big gap. How do you intend to scale this?
Yes. We do hope to take this way beyond only this community. The issue of water scarcity in the northern part of Nigeria, not limited to the northern part of Nigeria, really. I think you do agree with me that it's not limited to only this particular community. It's more or less a general problem around Nigeria. So what we are doing now is that hopefully, since now we commissioned this one, we are going to monitor it effectively till, of course, the next raining season. Once we are sure that everything that we have put in place works exactly the way we have planned it, we have the intention, of course, now to take this elsewhere. hopefully we'll be able to get governmental support at this point, and hopefully maybe we'll also continue to approach some of our potential funders out there who will be able to see this as a basis of course, supporting us to take this to different other communities in different parts of Nigeria that has a similar problem.
Well, Dr. Olukoya, this is, I don't even know how to put this, but as Jeffrey has said, it's too commendable to ignore, and we can only hope that be the federal, be the state government, or even the House of Assembly in the state would see this and be able to embrace it as well, and as you said, and as Jerry asked, scale it all across the state, and maybe some other people will be able to take it up from there. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Dr. Obafemi Olukoya is Project Coordinator and Director, Vernacular Heritage Initiative, VHI. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much for having me. And also, lastly, I just like also to thank, of course, once again, the founder of this project, Gedai Nkesh Tiftok. Without them, of course, none of this could have been possible. So thank you very much for your time, and yes, be in touch.
We appreciate it. So we'll take a short break. We are still continuing our coverage of the Rivers State local government elections. We'll be right back.
When a tanker bearing fuel falls or an underground pipe bearing fuel bursts, what do? Scooping fuel in your bucket or running far away from impending fire? You have a few seconds to take the wisest decision. Walk away? No, that is not enough. Shift? No, that is not enough. Stay there and gist and take shots with your phone? That is madness. Run. Yes, run away. Yes, your life depends on your action. The flames come suddenly, unexpected, but uncontrollable. Why? Fuel is highly inflammable. Why? It just requires a spark to set off a ravaging inferno. So, don't stay there to think. Storm away to live. Do not throw away your life in anguish for meaningless fuel siphoning. Be advised.
You are welcome to the next level. This next level, now hot water.
Again, thank you so much for staying with us. Our coverage of the Rivers State local government elections is ongoing, but there's this information that's just come to us, and I hope that the authorities, particularly in Rivers State, will give it attention. Festus says, and this mail came in at about 9:55, I'm presently in Finima, Bonny Island of Rivers State. From my personal observation, there is a general voter apathy. The system is completely undemocratic, whatever that means. But what you're seeing right now is the minister of the FCT casting his vote at the polling unit that we brought to you earlier, that Kumbi, our colleague, had been telling you about. Is right there now to cast his vote. The process you can see right there, right now. This must be some interesting perspective right now, Jeffrey. Yeah, that's Rumo Precom, ward Unit 7. In Rumo Precom, in that particular ward of his local government area. That's Ward 9, Unit 007 in Rumo Precom. This is his village. You know, Wike is one of those that come from villages that are already city centers. So that's the FCC. He was actually waiting for someone to cast his vote before he did his.
Yeah, so voting for the position of chairman of the particular local government area, and then the councillor. So that's the Honorable Minister of the FCT, former Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Ezenwo Wike, casting his votes at Unit 007, Ward 9, in Rume Precom, in Obiakpo local government area of Rivers State. As a matter of fact, I'm sure this reminds him of 1999. This is where he started his political career from. He served as local government chairman for 2 terms. He's been very fortunate, himself and Rotimi Amechi.
And you know
have
what?
Been in public service for that long.
What you have said just now, Jeffrey, should be an exciting thing for anyone who cares. And I think we might be able to get him to speak to the media in a bit. Yeah. I'm almost certain that
he will make comment or remarks.
He will make a comment or two. Because we'll be able to take him up again on, that comment, that you are making about him starting as a local government chairman in just how many years now?
This is 26 years.
This is 26 years ago. So whoever was 20 years old now, 20 years old then, is 46 years old now. Yeah. I will probably have been looking at him that, see this man, what is he going to do? Now, you see how his career has gone. So let's quickly go to there and listen to the minister. Oh, okay. My apologies. We'll go to that one shortly. But very quickly for our DSTV audience, the 12th Northeast Governors Forum meeting is taking place in Abuja. Only for our DSTV audience, we'll be taking you there in a moment while we continue this conversation about the local government elections in Rivers State. All right.
This is a live Channels television event.
Also, the Mayo Camp Bridge in Bali local government, the Pamanga Bridge in Adokola local government, the Maraba Pantisao Lacheke Bridge, Yoro local government, collapse, batching, multiple cell box covered in Jalingo local government, Bale Fi Karim Bridge, Karim Lamindo, Bali Sunte Bridge, Bali local government, among others, remain critical lifelines for trade, mobility, and security. Your Excellency, the restoration and reinforcement cannot be delayed. Today, as we deliberate in this meeting, may our conversation be fruitful and may our decision further open the path of development, peace, and prosperity for our people. I wish you all a pleasant stay in Taraba State and every success in the task before us. Once again, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, welcome to Jalingo, welcome to Taraba, the nature's gift to the nation. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, our governor. I think our governor deserves a tender reservation from all of us. And the people also are grateful to him for showing compassion to their plight. It is our hope and prayer that something shall be done. Shall I hear the loudest amen? Your Excellency, it's now my singular honor and privilege to invite a personality that I personally lack adjective to describe, but I see him as a gift to humanity from God. I see him as a mechanical administrator. I see him as a transformational light in the history of governance and leadership. I see him as a man of men. I see him as a potential anything in this country. I see him as a very good friend to Governor Kefas because they share the same vision, the same mission when they come to leadership and understanding. Please, permit me to invite this gentleman that I say is a born leader, a leader by excellence, a God-fearer, a man of destiny, Babagana Umara Zulum, FNSC, MNI, to please come forward and address us.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Your Excellency, the host governor, Dr. Agbu Kefas, Your Excellencies, my senior colleagues, the governors of Gombe, Bauchi, Yobe, and that of Adamawa States, members of the National Assembly that are here, Speaker, Taraba State House of Assembly, and other members of the House of Assembly, MD Northeast Development Commission, DG Northeast Governors Forum, secretaries to the state governments of the northeastern states, the Chief of Staff, Royal Fathers, members of the State Executive Council from the northeastern states, members of the Technical Working Group of the Northeast Governors Forum, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm pleased to welcome Your Excellencies to the 12th meeting of the Northeast Governors Forum, holding here in the beautiful city of Jalingo, capital of Taraba State, aptly known as nature's gift to the nation. This marks the last lap of the second round of series of our rotational meetings. I wish to begin by expressing our deepest gratitude to our host, His Excellency Dr. Agbo Kefas, CON, Executive Governor of Taraba State, for the warm hospitality and the excellent arrangements made for this